All right. I'm actually at work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm out here in the woods.
Nice. Very cool. As you can
Yeah.
see, I'm barely out of bed. So.
Well, that's the way it should be. It is the weekend.
That's true.
But what are you gonna do?
So you think Trump is a quack? In what way? What do you mean by quack exactly? Charlatan.
Well, I mean, he's just. I think he's very disingenuous, and I think he is basically saying whatever he thinks Middle America wants to hear. That's. I mean, he says that he's not a politician, and that he doesn't need their money and this and that. But I don't believe it for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably true. I agree. He probably does need big donations. He needs big and small donations in order to win, doesn't he? So he
always
definitely needs to appeal on some level.
Yeah, and I think just like every other person that runs for president, he is a politician once he starts running, and basically everything he says he's going to do or he wants to do will change by the time he gets in. And I do think he's going to win because
I do too.
I think people in this country are just kind of confused. That's what I think overall.
So I think the question that comes to my mind is like, if he is just saying stuff that appeals to Middle America, then the worst you can say about him based on that is that he's just like all the others except he's freestyling it. Isn't it? Like, he's doing something that appeals to her constituents too, right?
Absolutely. No, I wouldn't vote for her either. There's no way. I don't vote because I don't believe in the system at all. I think it's a ridiculous system. And I also have like a underlying thought that if you at all try to run, if you want to be president, that should like more or less disqualify you from actually becoming president. Like that, those are the worst types of people. There's just usually like ego-driven megalomaniacs who just, if you want that, there's something not right about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
A regular person who really wants to help people would never be putting themselves out there to gain that sort of power over them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of, you self-selecting for...
Right.
Yeah. But, like...
And...
But, I mean, do you think that's true of someone who's a third-party candidate, maybe? Like, do you think that's true of the small, like, the Jill Steins and the Gary Johnsons and stuff? You do?
I do. I just think that maybe they have a slightly better ideology in some ways. Maybe they might have a thought, have something going on. It's not all about themselves. Right. These other ones, they don't have a thought. They are just really, in a sad way, they are the representatives of the American people. They just have no clue. But even the smaller parties and the third parties and everything else try to wedge their way in. It's not, I believe, that presidents aren't really elected, they're selected.
They're what? Selected?
Selected, not elected.
Yeah.
And by that I mean the popular vote, if it's close, it almost doesn't really count. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't make a difference. Bush lost the popular vote, but he won the electoral college votes, so he wins. So it's kind of like, if it's close, which it almost always is, they can basically do whatever they want. The electoral college, they're just picking at that point.
Yeah,
that's not...
And because
that's not a true...
Like, a lot of people have... a lot of people will vote for one specific side, whatever they always voted for, again and again. So there's only a very small number of people who really have any sway.
And there's a small number of people overall who vote at all. It's a small percentage of the population, so you're not getting a real, true approximation of who they'd like to represent them. And I'm one of the people who won't vote because I don't believe any of these people will ever represent me and my needs and wants and my ideals. Those people don't run.
Yeah, my feeling is that the optimum, well, I don't know about optimum, but a better system would be something like, like a referendum on issues where everybody votes via their mobile phone, but temper it slightly by, maybe like when you vote for a specific thing, it goes like, these are the consequences of your vote. Like these, are you sure you want to vote this way? If you do, it will affect these things, and it will, these will be the knock-on effects and stuff. And
right.
And then sort of connect your decisions in some logical manner. I feel like a mixture of technology and mobile phones, which is technology, I guess, and some kind of linking the issues together in the background would be really cool. And then
it's a nice idea.
Yeah,
it's a nice idea. It's something different, but I still think even at that level, if you let every person vote on every issue, first of all, that would never happen. We both know that. That's way too close to home for the people in charge.
Right.
Well,
it's not.
What are they going to do when
nobody in power is incentivized to let that happen? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's not even incentive. If that happens and then they have to abide by it, then they're not in power anymore.
Right.
And then that's not going to happen. That's what I'm saying. That something like that could never happen, because even if they did give you that illusion of the choice, you think they're going to actually go by the votes? I don't. I think they're going to still do what they decided.
That's
and just give you that illusion, that feeling that you got to pick.
Yeah. It's very difficult to get to a system, but a system like that would be quite good, I think. It's very difficult.
It would be a good idea if it was a true system.
Yeah.
But I think I fall more along. I know this. People think I'm completely nuts and crazy, but I fall more along the line of: do we really need a system at all? If a thinking person, a logical person who has a decent head on their shoulders, not a genius, nothing crazy, but just somebody who knows what's going on. Do you really need to be told, what's wrong and what's right, and how to do things and what not to do? No.
What, are you a narco-capitalist or what?
I just don't believe in government, period. Government is just a flawed system. I don't need to be governed. I know what's going on. And I think people can govern themselves in a way. Just purely consequences of your actions will fall back upon you.
Yeah.
If other people know the same. You understand what I mean? They'll say, well, if we don't have a government. Go ahead.
The trouble with getting to a system like that, where people can basically govern themselves and just learn from their mistakes and stuff, is I think a lot of people are afraid of they're afraid of. Well, this is two-parter, I guess. The first part is they're afraid of being allowed to make their own decisions and having to face the consequences themselves. And the second thing is that they feel a need to protect other people who they think are more stupid than them from their own mistakes.
Right, but here's that's nature. That's nature. See, human nature is not that far from true nature, and true nature is perfect system. True nature rewards the intelligent and the strong, and it penalizes the weak and the stupid. And it sounds cruel, and it sounds inhumane, and maybe it is, but in reality, like people will call me an anarchist. I'm sure they'll say this guy wants no law, no government. But see, be your own law. If you think about it. If there's no restrictions on people, right? And they say, well, what's to stop me from killing you? well, to stop you from killing. It's just the pure thought. The people are going to bristle to those types of people.
Sure.
They're going to control them on their own. You won't have people going around shooting 50 people because we're going to take them out. The people who are thinking, the people who know what's going on, who realize that this is just silly, they're not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
We're not going to put him in a cage and, pay for his meals. It's more along the lines of, it'll go back to, I'm not going to do something because I know better, not because somebody told me not to.
Well, there is what I can agree with you on is there's a lot of abdication of thought at the moment. It's like, well, someone else is looking out for me, so I don't need to do much thinking myself. Or not do much thinking. That's not the phrase I was looking for. I don't need to take responsibility for myself, and that's on many, many levels. But it's the trouble. The trouble with even trying something out, like what that sort of reduces rules, is that the fear is that, like, what if your assumptions that people will plan ahead and stuff like that are wrong? People.
Well, then you know what? But then we'll grow stronger as a species, because the people who don't plan ahead and aren't smart enough to know how to take care of themselves and their families, those genes will be out of the pool. They're not going to be here anymore.
You think it's
we'll grow stronger.
You think it's
absolutely,
really?
Absolutely, just like all the other animals, evolution. The weak, the ones who aren't smart enough to learn the new techniques to find food in the animal kingdom, those are the ones that don't make it, and the ones that are smart enough do.
What do you think about
get stronger as a species?
What do you think about the idea that that evolution built the animal that is man, right? And then once the brain was powerful enough, it kind of this is Richard Dawkins stuff, right? Like a new replicator took over and became dominant, which is the meme, like where the idea is more powerful than the actual genetics. So, like, it's really about can the survival of different ideas and things like that, rather than the survival of genetics. What do you think?
Yes, to a degree, I agree with that, but I also think that there's some. I mean, I'm sure you've come across people, people. There's just something missing. They just don't have. It's common sense type of stuff, like you see people and I hate to say, they're just dumb. They just don't get it. And if those people were put in a situation where they weren't taken care of by someone else and they had to do it all for themselves, I don't think they'd stick around too long. And I definitely don't think they would be mating with other people. I think those people would be slowly moved out of the pool in a way. It's not that we have to go out and kill people. It's just nature. It's just going to happen on its own.
Please don't say that.
No, and I never would. I think everybody has a right to a happy, healthy life.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't think anything you do should infringe upon your right to be who you are. Yeah. I think the construct of morals is kind of flawed. I think if it's right for you, then it's right to do. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. I don't care if it's wrong to somebody else. It might be what you need to do. I'm sorry. This is what I need to do. So that's fine, and I'm fine with that. But then you also have to be representative and take responsibility for the actions that you do. So the problem will work itself out. We don't need all this extra
layers of management.
Right. Well, I never needed to be told not to kill anybody. I knew that before I could talk, probably. It was just in there.
Yeah.
It was just in there. And it's not that, it's not that the government says you'll go to jail, and it's not that religion says you'll go to hell. It's just that it just doesn't occur to me. I would never do it unless I was threatened or forced to. I think, people of that ilk will continue to go on and not do crazy things. And the other types of people will slowly fade away naturally because we're not going to want them around.
There's a certain amount of morals pre-programmed into people, isn't there? From like society and whatever, it's like these are the rules that allowed you to not get killed by your peers in an ape society. Right?
Absolutely.
So
I think there's certain things that you need. I mean, at times in my life, I've done things that are very wrong. And I knew they were wrong at the time, but I weighed them against the consequences. And I said, well, if worst scenario happens and I get caught doing this, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to know what I did was wrong, and whatever happens to me happens, but I'm still going to do it. And I think that's okay. I think it's fine. I don't fault anyone for the same thing. But if I had the continuous behaviors that you just keep doing the wrong things all the time, that doesn't work in the long run. Regardless of a government or religious system, it just doesn't fly.
So one of the arguments, so getting back to the original topic of Trump as a
right.
So what you've just said is essentially, I know this is probably twisting your words a little bit. What you've just said is essentially, people don't really need to adhere to like strict rules about how they behave, what they think, and they can change their mind and they can do the wrong thing, say the wrong thing, and then next moment they move on and they're just like a free, they don't need to be like a programmed robot. They can go and do what they want. Don't you think that Trump exhibits exactly that behavior? And that is why a lot of people don't like him?
I think he exhibits the behavior, yes, of a person who is operating under his own moral constructs, who is going to do whatever he has to do to get what he wants. And I fully understand that mindset. But what I don't fully understand is how other people don't see it and they go along with it as if when the time comes, he's going to say, oh, you people were with me from the beginning, I'm going to protect you. He's not. He's protecting himself. So don't vote for him. He's an idiot. He's just some guy who's crazy. And he'll do by any means necessary. He's going to get what he wants. And that to me is not somebody who I want running the show, making decisions for me. I like to make just like him. I like to make my own decisions, but I don't get to just because I'm some guy who nobody knows about. It doesn't really matter what I think, but for some reason, he's important because his dad had a lot of money and gave it to him when he passed away. It's kind of just he was born there, and he was born there with the same mindset that maybe I have. I might do the same thing if I was in that position, but that doesn't make me special or somebody of value. It just makes me a very self-preserving type of person. That's my ideology. I'm self-preservation above all else. And I'm honest about it. I'm very honest. I don't lie to anybody.
I would define your philosophy as very hard Darwinist.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, because it's been proven again and again that that's true. It just always comes out that that's the truth, and I know that, and I'm honest about it. If somebody were to tell me, and I had this argument with a guy who I work with, and a few of the women who work in the office for the town that we work together at. I work for a township, and I forget, it was crazy. He's a very religious guy. Me and him always have these deep discussions about, these wide encompassing discussions, like people who I run into on this app. And for whatever, somehow the idea came up. It's a totally fictitious and ridiculous situation, but it's just to me, it's like sort of like a moral compass thing. And it's a how honest are you thing. And I took the position that if somehow, some way, somebody offered me a huge amount of money, not just like $1 million, like $100 million, like completely life-altering money that you never have to work again, your children never have to work again, everything is good forever. And
not just fuck you money, fuck me money. Right?
Exactly. Money, you don't even think about money anymore. Right. And the conditions of me gaining this money were that I'm at the top of a volcano, the money's in a briefcase, and my mother is there with me. And the man holding the briefcase says, "You have to kick your mother into that volcano to get this money." Okay. I'm an honest person. I'm telling you right now. Mom, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm kicking you in. You're going in. And I think I would say 95% of the people would do the same, but they won't tell you that they'll do this.
Really? You think?
I really do. I honestly believe that. I really do, because how many people truly, first of all, what does your mother want for you? She wants you to be healthy and happy and safe forever, right?
Yeah.
Or
accomplished, I guess.
Right. Or is she also self-preserving? Would she do the same to you? Now, it's a very, very different thing, because a parent to a child is a much different relationship than the child to the parent.
Yes, it is.
Because the way it's supposed to be in nature is that the parent is supposed to die before the child.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen, but naturally that's how it usually occurs. Mm-hmm. And I got to be honest, she's going in. I love my mother. I love her. And it's not anything that could ever really happen. It's a totally fictitious thing, but I'm honest about it. I tell the truth. Most people will sell.
Maybe we should do like a crowdfunding campaign to see if that's actually true.
I'm telling you, they'll lie though. People will lie because they don't want to be seen as the guy who will do that to their own mother for money.
Yeah.
It's like a question of virtue. They want to be seen as these people who have great virtues, and money doesn't matter to me. But it does. It does. It truly deep down it does. Yeah. And whether or not they say they'll do it, if you put them there in that moment, they'll do it. They'll do it.
Wow.
I'm almost certain of it. And I think that's just human nature. Human nature is mostly genetically programmed for self-preservation.
Yes.
It's to keep yourself around so you can make more of you.
It is. But, okay, if you want to talk about genetics and stuff, I think it was the extended phenotype or whatever. It was one of Dawkins' books. As you can probably tell from this conversation, Dawkins has been quite influential on my understanding of various things. He was talking about altruism in animals, specifically in insects and things like that. So there is people assume that like morals, not killing people, not taking all the resources and being selfish and not all that stuff. People assume that that's like a something that's a higher attribute of man or something. But animals show these things too. They sacrifice, ants worker ants and things like that. They don't care about being killed as long as the queen survives. And there's a good genetic basis for a lot of this. And humans are an animal that can only really exist in a society. I mean, we're pretty useless as one person with no tools and no people. It makes perfect sense for us to cooperate and so on. And I think as far as like relations and things like that, like your parents and your sister and stuff like that, you have a genetic interest in seeing those people survive because they share half, brothers and sisters. It's probably like half your genetic material and that kind of thing. So anyway, I think there's a real basis for a lot of that, and I don't know. Anyway, back to your example of pushing.
I know it's funny.
I admire your honesty. I don't know.
I'm always honest. That's one thing I will always be, is honest.
I think I must be a lot. I feel like I wouldn't do that, but would you? No, I feel like I wouldn't. Not with my mum. I wouldn't say anything about other family members. No, but
okay.
But I don't think I would with my mum. But it's. I mean, it's cool that you're able to examine yourself like that and see that kind of stuff. It's really cool. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I think like Trump. Back to Trump. I think his state, his way of being, is the natural state and is a
Absolutely
reasonable state. The only thing is that the question is, do you want someone who is looking out for his own interests in charge, which is the point you raised.
Right. Isn't there supposed to be something special about these people who we put in these positions? They're supposed to be different and people of high, moral fiber and all of this. It's not really true.
No, it's not really true. The question is, does it really matter? I mean, Hillary Clinton, we all know, is not telling the truth about anything.
Right.
And you said you wouldn't support her either, but does it make a lot of difference? I mean, do they even have any power, the presidents?
No, not at all. I think it doesn't matter in the least. But what I do see it as, I just see it as a social experiment almost. I don't think it makes any difference whether you could put me in there. I'm not going to get to make any real decisions. It's always the big money interests and the families that have had the most money, since the beginning of the concept of money. They still have it. And I don't think it truly matters. But what I do think matters is to look at the numbers and see how many people go along with that type of obvious liar. That basically the people who are just, they're content to see it through what's the word I'm looking for? They're content to see it through the eyes of these conservative versus liberal values that they just adhere to, absolutely, no matter what. Which is, to me, that's such a ridiculous way to go through life.
Yeah, it's very limited.
It's so crazy. I mean, you can't stray from any of these ideas, and it's just, this is the only way for everything. It's crazy.
No, that is putting yourself in a box and just picking a tribe, isn't it? It's tribalism,
right? And I'm such the opposite type of person where I've been wrong about so many things. I've had so many opinions that I've changed over the years, and that's why I try never to be solid and say I know 100%.
Yeah,
because when you do that, most of the time it comes back to bite you.
Yeah,
you might think 100% and feel 100%, but thoughts and feelings are very flighty, and they're not backed up by anything real.
Yeah. And part of the purpose of life is probably, I mean, if there is such a thing, is to grow and experience stuff and change your stance on things. So
yeah, and I mean, we keep getting away from Trump, but it really that's why I see
Trump is a microcosm.
I'm telling you, I think it is very much a social. It's almost as if the people who I mean, I know, again, people think I'm nuts. I think there's a very large secondary group behind the curtain that are really running the show. And it's almost as if this is true, what I'm saying about that, as if they're sitting around, and they like a couple of years back, they're like, what if we put Donald Trump there? What if we saw if we could get people to vote for him? Like, how dumb can we go? Right? Like, let's go dumber. Can we go dumber? Let's get Donald Trump out there, and let's see how many people we can convince that he's going to be good for their lives, and they'll actually take time out of their day to register for a primary and vote for him to be the nominee, and then take time out of their day to go and vote in a general election and put this guy who doesn't care one bit about them. He doesn't even know you're there, let alone care about you. And we're going to get these people to believe that he's really going to change their lives and make it better.
I think you may have just made the argument for life is just a simulation.
Oh, well, listen, if we could spend an hour on here, because I have crazy theories about that too, because there's no, it's sort of, there's no way to prove it. There's no way to prove anything, really, because you can't operate outside the walls of your own consciousness.
Yeah,
I can't even prove that you're a real person right now. I hope so. I think so. But I'm telling you, because I can't see it's like what's it called? the explanatory gap, and how people see color. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when people see color, like a blind.
Or whatever.
Exactly. When you try to explain color to a blind person, how do you do it? You can't do it because there's no explanation for it. It's just something that you see and you've always seen, and you know it as, you know, X. It carries the value X. Red is red because your eyes look at it and you've been told your whole life that that's red. But maybe when you look at it, to your eye it looks yellow, but you know yellow is red. And so
maybe it looks like a smell or something.
Right. or maybe, you know, who knows how you see things compared to the next person. So there's no way to prove any of that.
Yeah.
And because there's no way to prove it, it's, you know, it's a silly, you know, crazy abstract theory, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Just like it's not out of the realm of possibilities that this guy is, you know, he's just basically more or less he's a plant. You know, they planted him there and they said, let's see what we can do with this guy. Because I believe that you don't get that far in an election without making some promises and telling, you know, the real powers that you're in with them all the way.
Yeah, it's interesting. He is meeting with a lot of these groups that he was originally kind of not interested in meeting with. So, you know, as time goes on, he may just find that he just needs that support. But then, you know, like we've already mentioned, because he's so fluid in what he believes, it probably isn't like a serious violation of his ethics to go and just completely change, you know, the group that he said he didn't like, now he likes.
Of course. He's an obvious elitist, racist type. And I think he plays the card very well that he's an anti-globalist, anti-politician person, but he is such in that, he's very much in that family because he's got the money. And anytime you've got that money, I mean, he doesn't have as much as he says he does, but anytime you're in that group, why would you be against your own interests? It's beyond me that anyone believes that they would actively go against their own interests in such a way.
Yeah. But people do go against their own interests, though, don't they? They do. I'm not saying he would.
They do, but I don't think knowingly. Those are just people who are just not smart enough to realize what their own interests are.
I think
these are the same people.
Sometimes
these are the same people that are voting for him.
No, I was going to say sometimes I think you can go against your interests out of a sense of justice or fairness or whatever. You know, however misguided that may be, but you know, I think sometimes you can. I mean, I've certainly made decisions at different points that were not in my interest, but I felt like, I mean, it really wasn't on a deeper level in my own interest because it made me into the better person or whatever, which made me feel good. You know what I mean? So really, I do. On a deep level, you were always doing something in your interest.
I have another thought about that. I got to walk inside of this building real quick, and it's going to be loud. So just wait 1 second, all right?
Yeah, sure. All right.
Okay.
It's not that loud.
Oh, it's not that loud?
No,
It's pretty.
I couldn't even hear anything. It just sounded like some
really?
background noise. No, barely anything.
That buzzing. Oh, well, it's pretty loud in person. It's actually, I'm at a pump station, and it's running. This motor is running inside like 24 hours a day. It's pretty loud in there. But anyway, as you were saying about going against your own interest to be a quote unquote better person.
Yeah.
See, I think I also have another theory. Is when people act in a way that makes them look like you said, a good person.
Yeah.
To others, in a weird roundabout way, they're still acting in their own interests.
Yeah, they are for sure.
Because you then being that quote unquote good person makes other people look at you in a more favorable way.
Or at least it makes you think they do, and it makes you think you are.
Right.
It's like an ego boost for yourself. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's all in your own interests on some level. It's just not always clear what that level is.
Right.
Yeah. We covered a lot of ground, my friend. We probably been talking for like an hour or something, but it's been a pleasure. I gotta get out of the house. My son's downstairs and he's just watching TV, and I feel bad. It's not in his interest to leave him.
Right. Okay, I appreciate that, and it was another good conversation.
Yeah, man. I need to talk to you again. We still have the other discussion to finish off that we didn't touch.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We'll hit that another time.
Okay. Happy Father's Day, man.
Yeah, thank you. You too, and I'll see you on here again. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.